We're not doing a podcast. Special spring break edition, apparently. Where are you, Jared? Where are you right now? Tell everyone where you are right now.
I am in the lovely Boca Raton in Florida. The sun is out, the birds are chirping. Gonna play a little golf. So life is really challenging on my end right over here. So a lot of complaints on my end. It's very difficult, I gotta be honest.
If only we could all trade lives with Jared at this moment. And how's your Pesach going? Have you broken it yet?
How's my what going?
Your Pesach, Passover.
Passover is going well. Sticking with matzah. By tomorrow night, I'm probably going to want to throw matzah out the window because after 3 or 4 days, matzah just doesn't start agreeing with me and it just becomes so problematic. It's just, oh God. The one thing about Passover that always amazes me, you can't have bread for 8 days, but you can have lobster, you can have shrimp, you can have bacon. That's the one thing.
You're not really supposed to have shrimp anyways, though. It's a
but
shellfish.
you technically can. It's just the one that you can't have bread. So that's the one holiday in the Jewish religion that will.
Yeah, but you're not really supposed to have shellfish, Jared. That like defeats the whole purpose of being kosher in a way.
In a way, but it's
You're taking it really literally with the bread and what's leavened and what's
it's
not.
true. It's true. It's Passover. I love it, but it's the one holiday that always confuses me when it comes to the rules and restrictions. So, but
But
what
the
are we gonna
rice thing is tricky because you have some people saying you can eat rice, some people saying you cannot
do?
eat rice.
Exactly.
That's the one thing that is extremely, extremely tricky. All right. I
And a
mean, you're
beer.
still keeping it. You killed my bet because I took the under on 2 days. So that was impressive.
Yeah, and you sometimes you can have a beer. Can you not have a beer? Because it's always confusing to me. But I'll just have matzo
Also,
bride.
wheat. How could you have a beer if there's wheat?
It's the whole thing's confusing. Yom Kippur's easier. You just know you got to fast for 24 hours and then you can eat later. That
Yeah, that's true. And you just gotta wait to the sundown and Passover 8 days. And you could argue it is a little more difficult, a little more
it
difficult.
is, but
So
you know
in
what
New
you have
York,
to do. Sometimes
in
with
New-
Passover, you don't know what you have to do. It's confusing.
it is confusing. All
Yeah,
right,
so
so Jared, in New York, the biggest story right now is not the Knicks going to the playoffs. It's not opening day and opening weekend for the Yankees and the Mets. It's the Knicks draft pick right now. So, for those of you who haven't been really following this and understand why fans have been freaking out, from the Kristaps Porzingis trade in 2019, the Knicks acquired the Dallas Mavericks draft pick. Now, here's the catch. It was top 10 protected, meaning that if the Mavericks finish with the top 10 pick, they get it, not the Knicks. And this is the Knicks' only draft pick of 2023. This is April, not June. Should we really be freaking out this much about the Knicks draft pick right now, which it looks like the Mavericks are going to keep because they just keep on losing?
when it comes to the draft pick, I feel like it's a pick that the Knicks would ultimately end up trading this offseason if the opportunity presented itself to get a star player. But I'm just loving the fact how the Mavericks have literally turned into the Knicks when it comes to all of the dysfunction. I mean, it's literally day after day with that franchise between Mark Cuban saying what he said about Jalen Brunson with the negotiations, getting worried about how the parents got involved, and then with Jason Kidd the other night saying he agrees with everything they're saying because my bosses say so. It's great to see how the Mavericks have literally turned into the most dysfunctional organization in the NBA in a span of a few months, solely because of the fact that they acquired that team killer named Kyrie Irving. I mean, anybody who acquires Kyrie Irving just needs to think long and hard about what they're doing because everywhere that guy goes, he ruins franchises. And NBA teams just get so captivated by the fact that he is a great talent, but teams just need to realize a guy like him is just not worth the headaches. Everywhere he goes, he kills a team. It kills them. So the Mavericks are a mess right now. So we'll see what happens, but I have a feeling that pick is definitely going to be top 10 and the Mavericks will keep it.
Should Knicks fans be worrying I guess, this much, because with the playoffs in the line, should this be really the biggest concern right now? Because the focus should feel like Cleveland, and this is a team that, although young, they are built to win now. Based on how they've been doing the season, they can win a playoff series for the first time in 10 years. Should this really be their biggest concern?
No, because the Knicks right now are such a win now team. And even if, let's say, the Knicks don't fare well in the playoffs against the Cavs, they bow out in 6 or 7 games. Do we really think if, let's say, the Knicks get the 11th pick in the 2023 draft, Tom Thibodeau is going to be playing that guy a whole bunch of minutes? The Knicks have their roster right now. He'll probably end up playing like 12 minutes a night, whoever that player may be next year. We all know Tom Thibodeau relies on his veterans. I mean, it
Obi
took
Toppin's still getting punished.
it took a Julius exactly. It took a Julius Randle injury to finally unleash Obi Toppin, and we're seeing Obi Toppin really start to flourish before our eyes. And I'm excited by the fact that Obi Toppin is playing well, and it really opens up another conversation. Should Julius Randle take his sweet time when it comes to coming back for the playoffs? Because I think this team, the way it currently is right now, I think right now, this current version of the Knicks has the best chance to beat the Cavaliers. I'll go ahead and say it. I think they got a better chance to beat the Knicks, to beat the Cavs without Julius Randle right now than with a 65 to 70% Julius Randle. That's just my opinion when it comes to him.
Why is that? What on this current roster really makes you feel that way, that they could win a playoff series without their 2-time All-Star?
It's just the fact that I don't trust Randle. He gets so volatile when it comes to his emotions in the biggest moments. He starts arguing with refs, and he can't be controlled by his teammates. Tom Thibodeau doesn't do anything to reprimand him. He's just uncontrollable when it comes to that. And let's be real here. Julius Randle, if he does come back, he's not 100%. When he first got that ankle injury a few weeks ago, the Knicks said he'll be first reevaluated in 2 weeks. It wasn't like he's going to be ready to play in 2 weeks. It was just going to be a reevaluation. So I don't want a 65 to 70% Julius Randle playing. Quite frankly, I don't trust a 100% Julius Randle. So it's just the Knicks, in my opinion, should just go into the playoffs with what they have and give it your best shot. The other night, they beat the Cavaliers in a wild game without Julius Randle. Now, the playoffs are going to be a whole lot different. Defenses are going to clamp down, and it'll be interesting to see. But I am in no desire to see Julius Randle rush back for the Knicks come playoff time.
The Knicks this season, 3-1 without Julius Randle this season. Some of the numbers for you, not just the 3-1 record, which is impressive given the small sample size. They shoot 50% from the field and 40% from three without him. Those young guys stepping up for the Knicks. Hashtag, let the kids play.
Yes.
Now, the Knicks are always going to be the biggest story, especially when they're a playoff team. But there is another New York team that is going to be in the postseason this year, despite all the odds against them once they made some moves during the season. The Brooklyn Nets. They're in the playoffs once again. Now, to just show how impressive their streak has been, they are in the playoffs for the 5th straight year. Only the Celtics, Bucks, and 76ers have a longer active playoff streak in the NBA. That is just incredible. Are we not giving the Nets enough credit this season?
Well, the Nets will never get credit because they're always going to be an irrelevant team in New York. They're never going to get talked about. They're second fiddle. They always will be second fiddle, but they deserve credit for righting the ship once they ultimately traded away Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and they've got a good team. Mikal Bridges is he becoming a legitimate all-star? He looks fantastic. He looks like a really phenomenal player. Cam Johnson has played well since coming over in the trade. So they've got a solid team. They've got good shooters. I don't think that they're going to beat the Sixers in a first round series. I don't think they have any chance
No
against.
chance. No
I don't
chance.
think they have any. I don't think they have any chance against them. But they're a nice team, and when it comes to their future, it's not like once they traded away Durant and Irving, they were screwed because they have some good young players. They have a ton of assets where down the road, if they want to make a trade for the right superstar, that's one thing the Brooklyn Nets have to learn moving forward is if you're going to trade for a star, it's got to be the right one because they just struck out big when it comes to Kyrie Irving. And look, Kevin Durant just followed along. Unfortunately, Kevin Durant is just not a leader. He joins Golden State to win an easy ring, and he plays alongside his buddy Kyrie Irving. He doesn't want to
Take a
be
shot to Kevin Durant, Jared. Bold.
well. He's one of the best players in the NBA. He's one of the greatest players of all time, but he just doesn't want to be the ringleader. He wants to join forces with Kyrie Irving because Kyrie Irving was the one who wanted to ultimately go to the Nets, and he just joined to win an easy championship with the Warriors. So not taking anything away from Kevin Durant, the player. He's phenomenal. He's an amazing player, but he's not a leader. He just wants to play basketball, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he's not a leader. But the Nets are well positioned for the future. But as far as the playoffs go this year, they have zero chance against the Sixers. So we'll see what happens with them.
Who deserves the most credit for their success? Sean Marks, Jock Vaughn, or the fact that you have Durant and Kyrie leaving? Who deserves the most credit for Brooklyn's turnaround this year?
I think you have to give the most credit to Sean Marks. And it's interesting because once the Nets traded away Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, people were saying to fire Sean Marks. Well, he put them in the position in the first place to go and get those guys.
The one thing about him is that Marks had a plan.
Yeah.
And he just quickly moved it away once they're available. But then you could also kind of argue that when you have Kevin Durant knocking at the door and Kyrie Irving knocking at the door, what are you supposed to do? Say, don't come in?
Say no. You can't say no. The Knicks wanted Durant and Irving. We would have been dancing in the streets at the time if the Knicks got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Jarrett literally would have been dancing in the streets.
It's just unfortunate. I can't fault anybody for the fact that Kyrie Irving is just a team killer. He's a mentally unstable human being. He's a loose cannon, and no one deserves blame for the actions of Kyrie Irving. I will say this moving forward when it comes to Kyrie Irving, whichever team signs on to get him this offseason, whether it's the Mavericks re-signing him or the Lakers, who knows? I mean, they put themselves in such a bad situation where it's like we may have to do something just to keep Luka Doncic happy to keep him in our organization moving forward before he inevitably requests a trade. You know that's coming with Luka. He cannot be happy with what's going on down there. Or if Kyrie goes to play with his good pal LeBron James in LA. But look, Sean Marks deserves a lot of credit because he traded away those two superstars, and they've got a good young team now, and they've got more assets to hopefully strike again down the road for when the next star becomes disgruntled, which will probably be a more stable person than Kyrie Irving, I would assume.
Well, that could be a.
Who knows? It's the NBA. Who knows?
It's too hard. And guys do change over time. It is surprising. I mean,
it's the NBA.
And everyone thought was one way, and now has kind of been a prima donna. I don't know. I don't want to jeopardize too much, but a lot of players do change, and a lot of it's the agents at the end of the day. I don't think it's too much on the players. I think a lot of it's the agents kind of put this stuff in these guys' heads and kind of vocalize the wrong things, just to get these guys into a better financial environment for themselves as agents. Now, let's have Jarrett react to an article, and I think that this is something that he'll have a very passionate take towards because it's about the Mets, his one true love. Andy Martino of SMY said that the Mets are in a better position for catcher with Tomas Nido than Francisco Alvarez. Jared, do you buy that at all?
Tell me your reaction first, and then I'll tell you mine. I want to hear what you have to say first when it comes to that. I'll give you mine second. What's your thoughts on the Mets, on him saying that he feels Tomas Nido is better than Francisco Alvarez right now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, I get that Francisco Alvarez is 21 years old and that there hasn't been a 20-year-old catcher that's played more than 60 games in the major league since Aaron Rodriguez in 1993. Fun fact, Francisco Alvarez is the top prospect in baseball. He has the best chance at succeeding over Tomas Nido, who started the season 0 for 9 at the plate. It has to be Francisco Alvarez, and it may not just be that Francisco Alvarez is that good. It's because Tomas Nido is not a major league player. That's as simple as that.
When it comes to Andy Martino writing that article, I'm just going to choose to be of the belief that Andy Martino is just writing that to get some clicks. But I will just say this. If Tomas Nido gets the bulk of the playing time over Francisco Alvarez, I am going to be beyond livid, because how many times do I keep telling you, Mark, when it comes to all of our teams, let the kids play, let the kids play, let the kids play. If you're going to call up Francisco Alvarez and have him be a catcher who plays 2 days a week, what are we doing here? It's just asinine. If you're going to call Francisco Alvarez, he needs to play every single day. You're not going to develop any of these kids by half-assing this. And I really was concerned by the comments that Buck Showalter made the other day about when they called him up saying, well, he's going to get some playing time.
Buck hates young players. And the guy that that was when he was on Baltimore with the Orioles would lecture guys about the history. He would give people a test on Frank Robinson. Just the guys just play the game.
And what I hate about what the Mets are doing right now is they genuinely believe, the front office and Buck Showalter, they believe guys like Daniel Vogelbach, Eduardo Escobar, Tomas Nido, Mark Hanna give this team the best chance to win right now. Bring all these kids up. I can't stand the fact that also you've got Ronnie Mauricio, who looks like a potential star in AAA, and he's still playing shortstop. He has no avenue on the major league team as a shortstop. Francisco Lindor is the shortstop for this team for the next 8-9 years. Move Ronnie Mauricio to a different position so you could potentially call him up and bring some of that dynamic power into this lineup. This Met team, I just don't understand what they are trying to do with these young players. They just keep rotting them in AAA, and it just makes absolutely no sense. These young kids give the Mets the best chance to win right now because Brett Baty is better than Eduardo Escobar. I'm telling you right now, I know Brett Baty will be a better player than Eduardo Escobar. Mark Vientos gives the Mets a better chance over a guy like Daniel Vogelbach. Ronnie Mauricio needs a little more seasoning in AAA, but maybe call him up in July or August and let Francisco Alvarez play. You got to let them go through the growing pains in April and May before it becomes too late for them come September and October. So I'm just so frustrated by everything that the Mets are doing right now. The vibe around this team right now, and I sense it with the fan base, is just, it's not good. I just don't like what the Mets are doing when it comes to handling these young players. I really don't. Wow. I don't like it at all.
Now, let me propose a question that you threw a lot of options out there for the Mets. And Steve Cohen is clearly trying to be the next George Steinbrenner. And this is what George Steinbrenner did for quite some time when the Yankees were in a situation like this. He traded them. He traded the prospects. For who? Superstar talent that they could be the only ones to pay, and they could be the only ones to figure out how to get them all in the field. And you know what happened? They won World Series. They won championships. Why don't the Mets just do that if they don't think these kids are ready to play yet and they're in such a win now mode?
Well, they have the top end talent right now. They have the guys who can, at least when it comes to the young kids coming up, they can lean on the likes of Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte, Jeff McNeil. They've got the two top guns in the rotation in Verlander and Scherzer. So it's not like if these kids were to come up, they would be asked to save the franchise. And I really do think that the upside of all of these young prospects does give the Mets the best chance to win right now. And when it comes to making a trade, I mean, you could trade them for another legitimate starting pitcher at the deadline. Okay, great. But the biggest issue that this Met team has, and I will continue to say it, is the depth of this lineup and the fact that they have such limited power. They are a team that is built to win in 2015 or 2016. The game in 2023 is built on power pitching and power hitting. You need to hit home runs, and this Met team just doesn't have enough power. And Billy Epler, he doesn't realize it. And I don't think he ever will realize it. And that's why I think fans are just so frustrated. The fact that the fans, in my opinion, would be handling a situation better than the Mets front office says it all. And it's not a good situation right now because this Mets team it's just boring. It's a boring team to watch, in my opinion.
It's pretty tough to see the highest payroll in baseball as a boring lineup to throw out there.
It is.
Fans are this concerned. It's a shame, it just shows that.
Oh, look at the smile on your face.
Money can't buy you a ring.
Look at the smile.
Money just doesn't solve everything. You gotta have it all together with the front office. It's a real shame. It's a real shame.
For those who watch our podcast on YouTube, just look at that grin on that kid's face. Oh my God.
This is the biggest smile I've had.
You're so happy. You're so happy. You're such a petty bastard.
I'm not petty because I know I've been through this before. I lived through this watching the Yankees. I saw what happened in the mid-2000s when you spend too much money and have no clue what you're doing, and the focus is just winning and spending more money. It's a nightmare. It has to come all in place. You have to do more than just throw out all the money out there. You have to find smart trades, find the right pitchers, find players undervalued, know when to get rid of guys that are too overvalued. It's really tough, and there's a reason why the Yankees have gone through such a dry spell of championship runs, and Mets haven't won a playoff series yet. Such a shame.
I have a question. I have a question for you before we go on to the next topic. When the Mets season ends every year, is that a top 3 day in your year, every single year, when the Mets get eliminated?
Yeah, it's better than opening day. What are you
I'd say
you're crazy.
You're so bad. You hate
one of the best days of the. It's like what else do I look forward to in the month of October? What else? What else can anyone look forward to? All right. Last but not least, this is a topic that kind of a throwaway, but we have been talking about it for quite some time. Joe Douglas at a WFAN event, which just sounds really weird, said that don't worry, Aaron Rodgers will be a Jet. Now, on the same network, you have Craig Carden saying, which is a very fair point, if true, that if the trade falls through, the 49ers could come in and sweep him up. Are you feeling positive or negative about Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets?
He's going to be a Jet. There's no issue when it comes to Aaron Rodgers being a Jet. I have no worry when it comes to that.
Just play the tape from the last show that you did this. That was my fear that you would have the same thing.
They're not trading him to the 49ers. That's never happening.
Why not?
Aaron Rodgers will be a Jet. There's nothing to be worried about. I feel like this is going to happen come draft night, probably the first day of the draft. Joe Douglas even said it. He said Aaron Rodgers is going to be here. There's nothing to worry about. And the Packers are never trading Aaron Rodgers to a team that has eliminated them how many times over and over in the playoffs? They're never going to do that. So Craig Carden's report was total BS, in my opinion. So Aaron Rodgers, there's nothing to worry about, Jet fans. We just got to wait a couple days, a couple weeks longer. And
days. That's bold. Jared, there's no way this is taking days. This is taking months for it to happen.
No, it can happen in the next few weeks. I think it's going to happen in the next few weeks before the draft, before the first round of the draft. I definitely think that's when it'll happen. When do you think? You think this is going to happen?
I think before minicamp. I think before minicamp. So maybe not months, June. Probably weeks at that point. But
if that's the case, then
yeah. There's the rookie minicamp in May, I believe, and then they have the minicamp in June. I never keep up. Yeah. So
as long as he's a Jet as long as he's a Jet, in my opinion, by OTAs, I'm good with that. If it needs to be a couple more weeks, then so be it. Let the Packers keep digging their heels in because it's a never-ending story, but eventually it will come to an end and Aaron Rodgers will be in gangrene. So
do you need Aaron Rodgers at camp? That's not training camp. Does he really need to learn that much? It's the offense that's going to be built for him by Nathaniel.
You want him to get familiar with guys like Garrett Wilson and the tight ends and McCole Hardman. And he has the familiarity with Alan Lazard. So I think it's important for him to get into the building by OTAs. I just want him in the building so we can just watch the press conference. I think that's the most exciting thing I'm looking
And
forward
don't
to.
get the jersey. Don't get the jersey, Jared.
I'm
Do
not
not
getting
get the
I'm not
jersey.
getting another I'm never getting a jersey of anybody ever again. So
For those
no
of you who don't know, Jared
to worry.
is a Jets is a just pretty much a jersey curse in general. He once put on an Iman Shumpert jersey and Iman Shumpert's knee blew out. So that's everything you need to know. So players should be begging that he doesn't get their jerseys.
Oh, there's worse stories than that. Well, but maybe
well, not let's not get there. Let's not get there. All right, Jared has a tea time to get to, and he'll be taking his anger out on the Mets catching situation, the Mets roster situation. For Jared Least, I am Mark Weber. Have a happy Passover. Have a happy
Passover.
Easter, and enjoy your spring break if you got the time off.